What we're going to do is work on word problems for arithmetic and geometric sequences. So for our first word problem, it says a movie theater has 10 seats in the first row. It has 12 seats in the second and 14 in the third. There's a total of 20 rows. So I'm going to write my sequence 10, 12, 14. And so what I notice is that it's going up by 2. So when it says how many seats are in the fourth row, it would be 10, 12, 14, 16 seats. Now, we're going to write the recursive formula. So that would be a sub 1 equals 10, comma, a sub n equals a sub n minus 1. And then I'm adding 2 each time, so I put a plus 2. Now, for letter C, it says how many seats are in the last row. The last row, notice it tells us there are 20 rows in the theater. So I'm going to put a sub 20 equals 10 plus 20 minus 1. And then I'm going to times it by 2. So 20 minus 1 is 19, times 2 is 38, plus 10 gives me 48. So 48 seats. Now, for example 2, one person catches a cold on the first day. Then 2 more get sick on the second day. And on the third day, 4 people get sick. So we have 1, 2, 4. This time we're multiplying it by 2 each time. So on the fourth day, if I multiply 4 by 2, I get 8. More sick people. Now, what is the recursive formula? So the recursive formula would be a sub 1 equals 1, a sub n equals a sub n minus 1, and what I'm doing each time is multiplying by 2. Now, for the next one, how many people get sick on the 11th day? So a sub 11 equals, my first term is 1 times 2 to the 11 minus 1. This time I'm going to bring a calculator and I'm going to go, obviously 1 times 2 doesn't change anything. So I'm going to start off with a 2. I'm going to raise it to the 10th power because 11 minus 1 is 10. So 2 to the 10th power gives me 1,204 more sick people. Pause the video and try the next 2 word problems. For example 3, we have 2 people make up a lie. 10 minutes later, they each text 3 friends. And then 10 minutes later, those 6 text 3 more they know. So the first one is 2. Each of them does 3 friends, so then it's 6. And then those 6 do 3, so that would be 18. So the recursive formula, notice that we're multiplying by 3, would be a sub 1 equals 2. A sub n equals a sub n minus 1, and then I'm going to multiply it by 3. Now this next one right here, it says how many people find out about the lie in an hour. Now this one's a little tricky because I'm not going to put 1 and I'm not going to put 60. If I'm looking at my increments, notice that it's happening every 10 minutes. So if I were to take 60 and divide it by 10, it gives me 6. So I'm finding a sub 6 equals, I have 2 times 3 to the 6 minus 1. 6 minus 1 is 5. I'm going to take 3 to the 5th power, and then I'm going to times it by 2. And that right there gives me 486 people. Now for letter C, how many people find out about the lie at the end of 2 hours? So I'm going to do the same thing. 2 hours is 120 minutes. If I divide that by 10, what I get is 12. So A sub 12 equals, I have 2 times 3 to the 12 minus 1. 12 minus 1 is 11. So I'm going to take 3 to the 11th power, and I'm going to times it by 2. And that right there gives me 354 and 294. So 354,294 people. For example 4, an overweight man weighs 300 pounds on March 1st and decides to eat healthier during the month of March. He weighs himself on March 2nd and weighs 298 pounds. On March 3rd, he weighs himself and weighs 296 pounds. So I have 300, 298, and then 296. So notice that it's going down by 2. So the recursive formula would be a sub 1 equals 300. A sub n equals a sub n minus 1, and then I'm subtracting 2. How much does he weigh at the end of the month? Now, this one's a little tricky because we're talking about March, so we have to remember that there's 31 days in March. So a sub 31 equals 300 plus 31 minus 1, and then I'm timesing it by negative 2. So 31 minus 1 is 30, times negative 2 is negative 60, and that means that it would be 240 pounds. And letter C, by what date does he weigh 200 pounds? This time I don't know. I'm not trying to find the nth term. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find n. So I'm going to plug the 200 in for a sub n. So I'm going to go 200 equals 300 plus, what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for n. So I subtract the 300, and that right there gives me negative 100 is equal to negative 2n plus 2. I subtract the 2, and that gives me negative 102, and then divided by negative 2, that gives me 51. Now, 51 is not the answer. What I'm looking for is what date. So if March has 31 days, that means this would be 20 days afterwards. So that means that it would be April 20th, because that would be 20 days after March 31st.